Hi people, how are you? The objective of this presentation is to tell you what we did last Thursday, and what we did had to do with the textual meta function. But before that, we remembered and we took into account that every time we analyze a clause, we have to bear in mind that the clause has parts of ideational metafunction, interpersonal metafunction, and textual metafunction. These three components or structures work together all the time in each clause that we analyze or in each clause that we write or speak. Today we're going to deal with textual metafunction, and when we analyze textual metafunction, we will pay attention to mode. Mode, remember, is one of the features of context. It has to do with internal organization and communicative nature of a text, that is, how we organize a message in such a way to make meaning, taking into account participants, the people we are talking to, and the reality we are encoding in language. We will pay attention to interactivity, spontaneity, and communicative distance. Interactivity is examined with reference to these fluencies such as hesitators, pauses, and repetitions, which are more frequent in colloquial language or dialogues rather than in formal speech or lectures or conferences, let's say. Spontaneity has to do with lexical density and grammatical complexity. That is, when we are speaking informally, we will probably use more independent clauses rather than subordination. Also with lexical density, we will probably use nouns with an adjective, but not a lot of nouns and noun phrases. We will also analyze cohesion when we analyze textual metafunction, and cohesion can be both lexical and grammatical. So, when we analyze textual metafunction, apart from these fluency, hesitations, and all that, we will pay attention to coherence and cohesion on one side and theme and rhyme on the other. So, we can say that cohesion is a semantic relation, it has to do with meaning, between an element in the text and some other crucial element to the interpretation of it. And we can differentiate, or we can distinguish, different types of cohesive devices. We have substitution and ellipsis that can be part of the same process. When we substitute a word to avoid repetition, we replace that word by one, or if it is a phrase, a verbal phrase, or a clause, we can use to do so, I think so, I did so. In the case of ellipsis, instead of replacing a word, we omit it. Of course, to avoid repetition. We can omit a clause, a verb, or a noun. Then we have reference. So when we analyze reference, usually there are pronouns or determiners that refer to previous nouns that have been mentioned before, or nouns or words that will be mentioned later on in the text. Reference is a semantic relation, it has to do with meaning, and as well as directional. When we talk about a semantic relation, that means if I say my father is a lawyer, he works for the ministry, blah blah blah, he refers to my father. So, he is a pronoun, a personal pronoun, subject of the clause, and it refers